welcome to this webinar on Shiatsu. I'm Paul McNichols, and I wanted to give a physical demonstration of what Shiatsu looks like, and at the same time I'll give a little bit more context to how I'm doing the Shiatsu and what it may and may not be good for. So you'll notice first of all that the client is clothed. It's one of the advantages of Shiatsu. There's less invasion of privacy. It's very good for a lot of clients who might feel more uncomfortable getting undressed for, say, massage or other things. We're also doing Shiatsu on the floor. It's a very, again, safe and stable environment for people to lie down. They can lie down in any position, and it gives a lot of creative possibility to the bodywork. I'm sitting in the Japanese position of Seiza. It's a very stable, centered position, and I'll attempt to, all my contact with the client will be done from a very stable, centered posture. This means that I stay very sensitive to the level of pressure that I'm using, and I'll very quickly respond to any indication from the client that they're in any way uncomfortable or too challenged by the contact. Part of what I'm attempting to do is, through use of my hands on the client's body, I'm attempting to listen to how their body is responding to that kind of physical contact, and noticing weak areas of the body in a physical sense and strong areas. I'll also be paying attention to the depth and resonance of the breath, and I'll be paying attention to parts of the body that feel very cold or hot. And this is all part of one of the philosophies of Shiatsu, which is paying attention to yin and yang. That I'll be talking more about in another video. So I'm just going to demonstrate how I initiate contact with the client. We use two hands. One is called the mother hand, the other is called the child hand. And from this position, I simply lean my body weight in an inquiring way onto the recipient. What I mean by that is that I'm leaning in such a way as I stay very open to any signal or indication that I'm causing any sense of discomfort. One thing I'm particularly paying attention to, and touch is very effective for, is paying attention to any kind of change or shift in the emotional state of the client. I can register this in two particular ways. One, I might begin to notice my emotional state changing. That's called somatic transference. The other is I may begin to feel big changes in the breath rhythm or depth of breath, or in the contracting and particularly of muscles around the chest or abdominal region. Right now, I'm just gently leaning my weight on and getting a sense of where Kasha here is feeling relaxed or not. And this is the initiation stage of the Shiatsu. It's the beginning stage, which is more of a diagnostic stage. So it's more about listening than doing. Part of what I'm paying attention to, visually and somatically, is what meridians and what parts of the body feel more deficient in ki or in more excess in ki. We use the phrases kyo and jitsu in Shiatsu terms. These are Japanese phrases that mean, roughly speaking, empty or full. And these indicate to us the distribution of ki in the body and the aspects of the body system that are functioning well or struggling to function. And put very simply, areas that feel very weak or empty. I seek through touch and through my presence and my awareness, through the client's awareness of these areas, a type of filling process begins to happen. I will also be paying attention to areas that feel full or robust. And by me paying attention and bringing some robustness to these areas, a kind of dispersing or emptying can happen. A very simple way of explaining that dynamic is that instances where you have respiratory problems, say emphysema or asthma, typically the chest area will be depleted in some way. To compensate for that, often the upper shoulders will become quite tense and very active in the breathing process. They'll be compensating for the weakness in the diaphragm or the lungs themselves. And then what you typically would have then is what's called jitsu, or fullness or tightness in the upper shoulders, for example in the levator scapulae or the trapezius muscle, that's compensating for the weakness in the lungs. Now, some massage practices would attempt to massage away the tension that's bound up in the muscles around the chest and the shoulders. As a Shiatsu practitioner, my task is to attend to the weakness of the lungs themselves and to the robustness and strength that's compensating in the muscles around the upper chest and back. And this is working with yin and yang, it's working with kyo and jitsu. Typically, the most conspicuous symptoms in the body of tension, of discomfort, of pain are secondary symptoms to a more hidden cause that is much better detected through the delicacy of touch than it is through other diagnostic measures. You'll notice that Kasha's breath is beginning to deepen here as she's responding to the quality of contact and the areas of emptiness and fullness that I'm touching around the upper back and arms. In Shiatsu, we don't perform a routine on our client. I don't have a set routine that I'll go through that might affect some level of relaxation. What I'm paying attention to is the spontaneous and habitual patterns of fullness and depletion that manifest in the body. And by holding those areas, we bring a deeper awareness, both from me and from the client, to their own energetic process. And by energetic process, I mean, I refer in terms of energy to what in China they call qi, or in Japan they refer to as ki. And I'll say more about that on the other video. Put another way, my hands, with my awareness, I'm paying attention to where Kasha's body may need more support, for example the lower back, or may need more challenge, as in this area of the sacrum. Now Shiatsu can look this way in terms of me pretty much being on my hands and knees. But there's all sorts of creative potential to working robustly with the client's body. If there are areas that feel strong and robust, I can be more dynamic, and the advantages of working on the floor is I can stand up and work in a very stable, powerful way to engage with some of the deeper, bigger, more robust muscles and structures of the body. One thing I'm bearing in mind as a Shiatsu practitioner, that any areas of tension are areas of potential energy that the client isn't fully accessing.